This is the grand finals for EUIC. All right, well, we're getting into the battles. You know what? This is what we're here for. We're here to see the battles. We're here to see the grand finals final set. Shadow Wall Rain on P4T0M4N's side, Charge-A-Bug on Zzweilous' side, as we will now toss it over to our fellow casters.
See ya!
Bye!
This is like a tag team event here, coming in for the grand finals. We saw them play earlier on today. P4T0M4N playing what we call a reverse sweep there.
Oh yeah.
And now Zzweilous back up at the top.
Exactly right. This is going to be an incredible matchup between two of EU's best, P4T0M4N and Zzweilous, in our grand finals here at the European International Championships. And we're going to get this underway. Look at P4T0M4N. He's nodding his head. He's ready. Zzweilous looking out to the crowd for a little bit of support. So let's hear your support out here in the venue and in the chat. Hello, Zzweilous.
Who's cheering for Zzweilous? We want to hear you loud.
Woo! All right, and for P4T0M4N, any P4T0M4N fans in the stands? Let's go, let's go. I'm so excited for this grand finals. Our trainers are getting ready to lock in here. This is the rematch of a rematch of a rematch, Amanda. It all started back in Barcelona between these two trainers, where Zzweilous got the better of P4T0M4N, but no, not today. P4T0M4N knocking Zzweilous down to the loser's bracket with the reverse sweep. He is cooking, chat. He is cooking today, and these are the ingredients.
Not something that we haven't seen so often throughout the tournament, but really has been a wonderful play for P4T0M4N throughout this whole event is that Shadow Wall Rain. One thing I also want to point out about this team of 6 is there's no fighting type pressure on P4T0M4N's team.
Exactly right. Zzweilous with that Primate has been so effective, and the Charge-A-Bug also breaks up so many cores. He even threw the Talonflame at Kufia earlier on in that loser side bracket, so P4T0M4N needs to be ready for anything. This is a best of 5. P4T0M4N on the winner's side means that he's only 3 games away from becoming an international champion. Meanwhile, Zzweilous has to sweep and then win again.
Zzweilous up until today did not lose a single battle. He was doing great. Let's see if he can continue this streak here. We got that Diggersby up against the Shadow Drop-In.
Yeah, Zzweilous has been hammering this Diggersby time and time again, and P4T0M4N has been running out of answers until late in this series, but can he steal away that momentum here against the trainer from Germany, Aquatail, coming in?
Going for that charge attack priority. Aquatail super effective damage, but Diggersby takes it on the chin, going for a Fire Punch bait and getting that first shield off of P4T0M4N.
I think the key here is that P4T0M4N is able to keep his Glaring Corsola away from this Diggersby. That was a really tough matchup for him in the winner's side finals, but let's see if he can play this out. Gonna throw another Aquatail into Diggersby. Neither trainer really batting an eye yet.
I like this play a lot, throwing right before the next Scorching Sands would be available, so he can do yet another tie if he would like to do it. But a quick pivot out, catching now onto the Glaring Corsola. I don't know if this is avoiding it at all, Will.
Whoa, what a reverse engineer play here from P4T0M4N on the left side of your screen. Why would you send the Ghost type into the Diggersby? And then we see the swap into the Primate. What's going on, Amanda?
This is astonishing, I would say. Normally, the Primate doesn't like to be faced up against a Corsola, but at this low health, I think that it's going to be okay. He's going to start ramping up some of this energy. He's got shields to hide behind, and Nightshade coming through.
Yeah, this Primate can be so dangerous, so lethal if it is behind those Protect Shields and it gathers energy, boosts up the Rage Fist, and starts to build momentum. So we see that first Protect Shield come up from Zzweilous, and the pacing is definitely on his side.
Going ahead, just charging up a ton of energy, going yet again for that charge attack priority, and now we get a Protect Shield off of P4T0M4N's side. He wants to try to keep a little bit of that energy. He wants to either force another shield or decide to let Zzweilous have that Primate go down.
Exactly right. Glaring Corsola going to go for the Nightshade here. This would knock out, so Zzweilous forced to use his final Protect Shield of the game. This is a huge pressure point, a very important inflection point, and we see the Rage Fist get fired off here again.
No Protect Shields remaining. This is going to hurt. This is enough to knock out that Corsola, and Primate continues to just ramp up energy.
Primate rolling, double, maybe even triple, boosted, and the swap into the drop-in to catch the Aquatail. Zzweilous is fighting back.
There's so many swaps. There's so many dynamic plays between the two of them. Look at this, not very effective at all. Azumarill just starting to charge up energy. No Protect Shields remaining on either side. P4T0M4N going for that crunch, hoping for a potential debuff.
All right, Amanda, let's talk win conditions. We got a Shadow Drapion here for P4T0M4N. Meanwhile, Zzweilous with 3 Pokemon still, and that Mandibuzz has not even been revealed for P4T0M4N. And the switch! Catching in the Ice Beam, though.
You're catching the Ice Beam, it's going to be doing a nice chunk of damage, but Mandibuzz is one of the bulkiest Pokemon. So many times throughout this matchup, we've seen some swap-ins to Pokemon that are actually one of their hardest counters. We saw the Galarian Corsola going into the Digger's Beast. We see a Mandibuzz coming into an Azumarill.
Yeah, this is really uncomfortable, though, for Pato-Man because he's going to take a super effective play rough onto the Dark-type Mandibuzz. We did not see him play Mandibuzz at all in that Winner's Side Finals, and now he's bringing it out, but it might not be in the best position.
Going ahead, just charging up basically 100 energy, now throwing the Aerial Ace. Will it be enough at this side? There's no Protect Shields remaining. Azumarill is going to have to take it all. It's going to have to hang on.
Exactly right. Aerial Ace coming through. Azumarill does hang on. Oh, gets another charge attack. Pato-Man might have lost count there. The Ice Beam is going to come through now, and now he is down to just his Shadow Drappy, and that's his final Pokemon, his final hope in this game number 1.
Coming up there is Aquatail already loaded. He throws it right away. He needs this Diggersby out of there. A complete undercharge.
Whoa.
Not even tapping the bubbles. He wants to get farm. He needs to get up to yet another attack.
But was it too much? No, I don't know if he can do it. Look at the poison sticks. He's a resistant to Diggersby. Gets the knockout regardless. Pato-Man maybe should have given it a little more energy, but Zzweilous proves that he is not going away quietly.
Zzweilous nodding to the crowd saying, I know that you saw me drop down, but I am back. I am ready to show what I can do.
Exactly right. This is going to be so fascinating to see these two trainers play out the remainder of our grand finals. Pato-Man taking some notes there. Zzweilous kind of thinking to himself. He's always got that demeanor, very stoic, very calm, very calculated. We call him the reverse engineer in Europe because he always figures out ways to break the meta and surprise his opponents. Meanwhile, Pato-Man, I feel like he really rides the momentum of the crowd. Your cheers, he hears you, he feeds on that energy, and he needs your help, because he did go down in that game at number 1 of our grand finals.
He went down on game number 1 on the winners finals. You know what? He even went down game number 2 on the winners finals, coming back and saying, okay, I'm not out of this yet. He's sitting pretty on that winner's side of the bracket. He just needs a couple games to be able to call himself the 2025 European International Champion.
Amanda, you said a couple of games, right? I'm sure Zzweilous was thinking the same exact thing about an hour ago. He said, if I just win one more, I just need one more game to get into the grand finals, and Pato-Man stole it away from him, a reverse sweep 3-0. So I'm sure that right now, all these trainers are thinking about is this next battle.
Sometimes it's not just a battle that's on the phone. It's a battle that's going on in the minds of these two trainers who have played multiple times, numerous times in the past throughout regional competitions. We had Zzweilous taking the better of Pato-Man in Barcelona, but after that, Pato-Man ended up being a regional champion himself in Gdansk, Poland, so anything can happen, and anything will happen on this big stage.
We might be witnessing a chapter of one of the best rivalries in the EU region. Pato-Man from Spain and Zzweilous from Germany. These two titans clashing on stage, and they're taking every single moment, but you don't have to wait any longer because we are locked in game number 2.
We got that Galarian Corsola up against a Primeape on the side of Zzweilous. Now, we saw Zzweilous actually swap in, but this is on even energy. It's going to be very interesting to see how they want to play this. Those Astonishes are starting to hurt the Primeape because it doesn't have a lot of bulk, but what it lacks in bulk, it makes up on quick pacing.
Again, Pato-Man is able to bring that Galarian Corsola and avoid that Diggersby matchup, which is so good for him. He finds so much utility with this Pokemon when it's in the right spot, and I think in the shields up scenario, this Primeape can put in a ton of work, and Pato-Man needs to be careful to rein it in before it gets out of control.
All of this rage unleashing from the cage here. Look, this super effective damage is getting super low. There's 2 Protect Shields late. A lot of times people like to protect up their Primeape. That's exactly what Zzweilous is doing. Wants to keep it healthy, but he's still a little bit away from another one, and there's a lot of energy on the Corsola.
Exactly right. Perfect counting as we expect from Zzweilous. Tries to throw in the charge attack party, the alignment, but instead seeds an extra Astonish to Pato-Man, who predicted the play, throwing up that Protect Shield against the Rage Fist and looking for some fast attack damage. Gonna throw the Nightshade here.
Going to swap quick into the Azumarill, going to take that on the chin. I wonder at this stage if Pato-Man wants to save a little bit of energy on the Corsola and immediately swap out. Looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. Swapping once again into a Mandibuzz, into an Azumarill. Walk me through this, Will.
I'm not even sure, right? We've got a Shadow Kanto Marowak in the back for Pato-Man. Maybe he's predicting that he's going to need that Pokemon later, but sending in the Mandibuzz, it probably was not on his list of expectations either.
Mandibuzz is one of the Pokemon that was really hoping to find that Primeape, and once the Primeape is now as low as it is, maybe Pato-Man's realizing it doesn't have the efficiency that he wants it to. He wants this Azumarill that came in to waste a lot of this energy on another bulky Pokemon. possibly getting a good farm down opportunity for the back Pokemon.
Yeah, they say you always have a plan until you get hit in the mouth, and I think P4T0M4N here is trying to recover from the jabs that Zzweilous has been throwing. Gonna switch to that Diggersby now. Zzweilous manipulating that switch timer. He's the best in the world at it. He's gonna try to find an opening with it.
Going ahead and wanting to throw the Fire Puncher is going to be doing the more effective damage to that Mandibuzz, but Mandibuzz just continuing to go away. Both of them basically at 100 energy before throwing here.
This is fascinating to watch too, because Zzweilous bringing in the Diggersby is fine, but he might actually allow this Mandibuzz to leave with energy or make a bigger impact than it would have against the Azumarill. So I'm not exactly sure what he's envisioning here, but he's got a win condition in mind.
Feels like a 1-2 punch potentially here. A lot of Fire Punches loaded up. The first one is not enough. Quick pivot out into that Marowak, catching now the Scorching Sands. This is a heavier hitting attack. This will be doing more damage. There's only one Protect Shield left on P4T0M4N's side, and he uses it here.
Zzweilous has leaned on this Diggersby all tournament long, 14-0 to get to this point before losing to P4T0M4N, and he wants to add more wins to that column. Gonna go ahead and throw the Scorching Sands here. If it triggers a debuff, it will slow down the Shadow Kid to Marowak dramatically.
And now a quick pivot out, a combination play, as we call it. Scorching Sands going in for the #1 hit. Ice Beam going for the #2. Down goes the Shadow Kanto Marowak.
This is looking really tough for P4T0M4N. He's got both of his Pokemon on life support, and they can't hang. Azumarill with the bubble. Azumarill might sweep, but Mandibuzz is going to come in here and do its very best.
Now, what we call a 3-ball flexors, while it's going out with all 3 of his Pokemon still left in that game. It looks a little bit like deja vu here. We got a 2-0 lead from the side of Zzweilous, but if you guys were paying close attention earlier on, we know that P4T0M4N was able to get that 3-0 against him to stay on the winner's side of the bracket, but Zzweilous just needs one more game to get that bracket reset.
I'm sure the nerves on stage are high. I'm sure the hands are shaking, palms are sweaty, but you need to be certain to make the right calls and not get too far from that core strategy that took you to this point. Both of these trainers are in the grand finals. They make great calls, great team composition reads, and they know what they're doing, but you need to focus in and play your style. That's what I always say. Just be yourself. P4T0M4N might be able to pull off that reverse sweep, but honestly, Amanda, it's going to be so difficult because Zzweilous has all the momentum in the world right now.
Zzweilous just needs one more game for that bracket reset, but again, we've been in this exact position before, and P4T0M4N is not a trainer who will give up easily. He's a trainer that you can see on his face. He really wants this. He feels like he has something to prove, and what better place to prove it here on the grand stage?
Something we haven't seen as of late for Zzweilous is that Charge Bug, and I'm wondering, because P4T0M4N keeps leaning on the Mandibuzz, is that Charge Bug going to come out to meet it, or is it a trap that P4T0M4N is setting? Maybe he wants that Charge Bug out there so he can put a hard counter onto it. But guess what, everybody? We're heading into game #3. This could be match point for Zzweilous. Trainers are locked in. Let's go to the field.
Oh, wow. If you're going to call it, let's really call it here. We got that Charge Bug landing exactly where it wants to. A quick pivot into that Shadow Drop-In, one of the best save swaps we have currently in Pokemon Go. Getting up to this crunch and actually throwing the crunch before the Charge Bug even throws an attack.
Yeah, I like this play a lot. I think Zzweilous recognizes that Charge Bug needs time to build its stored energy. He's going to go ahead and throw this X-Scissor against the Drapion and try to force away Protect Shield. I think P4T0M4N wants control of Switch Advantage as well, so he's going to use that vital resource early on in this game.
Yeah, you saw the sprinkles, you heard the sounds, you saw the defense fall, and Zzweilous gets out of there with this Charge Bug. Coming in now with the Diggersby, but there's a lot of energy actually on this Drapion, and there's shields to hide behind. Those Scorching Sands can't knock out at this point. First Aqua Tail coming through.
I think the pacing is really the tail of the tape here, because that Diggersby needs additional time. Gonna go in and throw the Scorching Sands, double shielding now. Wait, is P4T0M4N trying to stall out the switch timer and make a swap? He's already got it.
He's got the switch timer, he's got the attacks, he's going ahead, and he's just keeping building energy, going for that swap, trying to catch, but at this point now the Mandibuzz is coming back in, and it is switch locked if Zzweilous chooses to swap out himself.
This is so critical too, because Zzweilous has seen the Mandibuzz, he's seen that Shadow Drapion, he needs to predict that third Pokemon in the back, because now he has the choice. Does he bring in the Charge Bug? Does he bring in the Azumarill? He's got 2 solid answers. He goes for the Azumarill here.
Azumarill and Charge Bug, both of these Pokemon does so well against this bulky flying and dark type Pokemon. Going for the Aerial Ace, the heavier hitting attack, but when I say heavy hitting, look how little damage it did to lose little Azumarill.
Barely leaves a scratch. Azumarill enjoys taking charge attacks. A lot of trainers use it as that cushion, that safety net, that damage sponge. We're going to see this Mandibuzz throw another aerial ace, but again, this just looks like a stalling tactic. I think P4T0M4N wants to get out of this matchup ASAP. And Zzweilous with his switch timer knowledge is a little bit off, and a great catch by P4T0M4N.
P4T0M4N doing everything he can to stay in this matchup, saying, Mandibuzz, you have to find a target here somewhere at some point, getting this player up. As you can see, Corsola saying, that's okay, I'm just going to start charging up a little bit of energy here. I don't have any shields left, but this is going to be where it gets dangerous. Azumarill already has energy. Zzweilous has 2 shields to his name. We're going to see a lot more dancing around.
Look, Amanda, these switch timers are like dominoes. One after the other, they fall, and that allows Zzweilous to bring out the Diggersby into the Galarian Corsola.
Diggersby has such a great matchup against Corsola here. Scorching Sands coming through, and it's barely enough, but look at this. He has an attack. He's not even going to throw. Last second throwing of that Power Gem.
Yeah, Power Gem, we know, is just going to kind of bounce off of this Diggersby here. Not a ton of damage anticipated. Diggersby really finding its alignment, finding the matchup that it needed to find, and this quick attack farm down is brutal, but the combo play, here comes P4T0M4N.
2 shields now down to 1 shield on Zzweilous' side. This Aqua Tail would be enough to knock out the Diggersby. I believe there's another one already loaded, going for that charge attack priority and getting that last shield. Where there was 2, there is now none, but there's still a lot of play left on the field.
Charge attack priority tie, which means that Shadow Drapion is snagged in the net of this Scorching Sands from the Diggersby. This will absolutely KO the Poison and Dark type, and P4T0M4N suddenly is looking to be in dire straits. He only has the Mandibuzz and the Galarian Corsola left.
Scorching it off of the field. The Mandibuzz could come back in. We do have that Corsola for potential sacrificial swap. This Mandibuzz does have a ton of energy. Azumarill coming back in to just sponge it all up here. First aerial ace coming through.
This is a real test, remembering exactly how much the energy the Azumarill has. You need to throw this aerial ace. You need to apply damage as quickly as you possibly can. P4T0M4N coming in here. Does he time it correctly? No, the Ice Beam's already ready.
Ice Beam being able to connect down. No Protect shields remaining. Mandibuzz is just kind of sitting in the side, stalling out here. Super effective damage. Not quite enough to take it down, but the bubble damage might do it.
Exactly right. Azumarill able to get the better of P4T0M4N, and Zzweilous is 1 bubble away from resetting the bracket. He's back.
He is back. Zzweilous says, okay, wait a minute. I was 2-0 up last time. Turns out I just needed to win that 3rd game to stay in. But at this point, you can see him giving a little bit of love to the crowd. We are going to have an epic grand finals.
I think it's so important to remember. We were talking about this in the lounge earlier, but having a loss, having a really difficult series loss in that winners finals, it doesn't have to be the end. You need to battle. You need to keep persevering, keep pushing yourself to write the final sentence of your story. And Zzweilous is doing his best to change the narrative and win here in London.
I like what you said a little bit earlier. Zzweilous is known for what we call reverse engineering. He takes a look at the top Pokemon that are in the meta, and he tries to find core breakers to these Pokemon, things that people might not expect to bring, and that's why we're seeing him play a little bit differently, a little bit more engagingly. P4T0M4N is one of the trainers who's so well known within Europe. He is a trainer who, from the very beginning, people have feared him. They saw his name on that Go Battle League leaderboard, and from his very first tournament, he was top cutting.
Exactly. People knew about him before they even saw him. Let's take a look back at the first set of our grand finals. As a reminder to everyone, because Zzweilous won 3-0, that does reset this grand finals bracket and trigger a brand new set of 5. Whoever wins this next set of 5 is your 2025 EUIC champion.
What are you thinking about the team compositions that P4T0M4N is playing against Zzweilous? I think he was in a position where he felt a little bit comfortable to try and experiment, right? If you kind of are in that winner's side, you can give a little bit of more flexibility. You can try to do a little more risk-taking, but Zzweilous was very measured, saying, okay, I know exactly how I want to play this out.
This series revolves around Galarian Corsola. We saw it with P4T0M4N playing it, leading it into Diggersby, getting really behind early on in this series, and you saw P4T0M4N bringing the Mandibuzz, trying to snag Zzweilous' Galarian Corsola as well. If those two trainers can avoid that negative matchup, whoever does it the best is going to win this series and become our champion.
If we're looking at the team of P4T0M4N there is a lot of bulk to the Pokemon. We have the Galarian Corsola. We saw how well it could take some hits. We see how well the Mandibuzz can even take super effective hits against the Azumarill. And we have the Azumarill itself being able to tank a lot. And then he has Pokemon that he's paired with it with that Shadow Drapion that gets very fast to its charge attacks. And then also a Walrein, which can do a similar thing. Zzweilous is really into that Primate where it doesn't be able to take attacks very well, but it just starts packing a punch, and the more Rage Fist he puts through, the heavier that attack becomes.
These trainers have optimized and re-optimized over and over again, and you don't even see particular picks like the Shadow Wall Rain from P4T0M4N or the Talonflame from Zzweilous. They don't see an opening for those picks in this series, but we might see them in the Grand Finals reset depending on how their opponent adjusts. So it's so important not only to play your game and maintain a balanced approach, but also to adapt, to evolve, to change, to adjust to what your opponent is trying to do as well. And I think that P4T0M4N and his Psyduck are trying to give Zzweilous a headache here on stage, but he's got to win a few games to do that.
If you're looking at the Pokemon that they have been bringing these last couple times, Primeape has been really key, I think, for Zzweilous, and P4T0M4N has been trying to negate anything that Primeape can do by using the Mandibuzz, which has such a good matchup against it. It's using a Galarian Corsola, but Zzweilous has been kind of one step ahead of him, noticing where the Galarian Corsola is going to be at and being able to get his Diggersby on it, noticing where that Mandibuzz is going to be, and even being able to get a Charge-a-Bug on it.
And you saw P4T0M4N not even just double down, but also triple down on the Mandibuzz. He says, I know I'm going to find that Galarian Corsola. I know I'm going to get lined up against the Diggersby and make some headway. And Zzweilous just did not allow him to do it. So again, great offense, but also great defensive play and team building from Zzweilous.
So if you guys are just tuning in, we're in literally the grand finals of going on. This is a best of 5 matchup. The first best of 5 in the winners finals going to P4T0M4N. The next one going to Zzweilous. And really, at this point, it is literally anyone's game. The score is back to 0-0. Our trainers are getting locked in. They're getting ready to go.
3 games, 3 battles, about 3.5 minutes each, but it will make all the world of difference. All right, everybody, we are locked in. We're ready for some games. This is our Grand Finals reset, EUIC 2025. Let's hear from Pato. Let's hear for Zzweilous.
Let's see the Pokemon on the field. A great lead this time for P4T0M4N with the Azumarill. That though the Primeape does pace very quickly, neither one of these attacks are going to be doing very much at the beginning.
Yeah, I think with the shields up, this is not that bad for that Primeape, and I think controlling switch advantage has been the name of the game for Zzweilous. Again, trying to snag, trying to snare that Galarian Corsola on the opposing side. We also don't see much variety in the picks. No Shadow Wall Rain here in our Grand Finals reset, no Talonflame either.
No shield either, as the next Rage Fist is going to be able to connect. The third one is going to do more damage. Sometimes we also see Primapes going for a close combat at this point because it is enough to knock out the Azumarill. P4T0M4N going for the Ice Beam and still getting the shield off of the Primeape because, again, what Primeape puts in a punch, it lacks in the bulk.
The swap here from P4T0M4N to bring in the Shadow Drapion, a very unconventional pick. And oh my goodness, the bait from Zzweilous. This could be the close combat. P4T0M4N plays it safe.
Forcing a shield here, but if you notice, they're at that charge attack priority. I had to feature the Aqua Tail here at this point. We're gonna have to decide, am I gonna shield this up? And it looks like Zzweilous is going to shield it up. He has a lot of energy still left on this Primeape.
If there's one thing we can count on, it's for Zzweilous to give his shields to his fighting type Pokemon, but now there's only one shield remaining for P4T0M4N. The close combat, firing this off here. P4T0M4N double shields his Shadow Drapion.
Since P4T0M4N swapped in at this point, he's forced to use a shield, but Zzweilous can go ahead and swap out to clear his debuff if he wants to. Looks like he's just content to let it go down. No, still catching an Aqua Tail onto this Azumarill.
Insane, going up 2 more fast attacks before the catch. These trainers are in a synchronized dance, and the Aqua Tail is definitely what this Azumarill wanted to absorb. Switch Timer is up for P4T0M4N as well, and he reaches for that Galarian Corsola.
Corsola is a great answer to the Azumarill, but there are no Protect Shields on the field for either one of these trainers. Play Rough is going to connect with the Galarian Corsola, and P4T0M4N is going to have to take it.
Play Rough connecting into the Galarian Corsola. We talk about this matchup all weekend long. It's very close. These Pokemon are very bulky. They pace even at similar rates. The Nightshade is going to get that same type attack bonus. The Charge Type priority tie will go to that Ghost Type Galarian Corsola, and these trainers are just whittling each other down in this mid-game matchup.
Starting to throw a little bit of shade here at the Azumarill, saying, I know that you pace just as slow as I do. Next Play Rough coming through, but it won't be enough to knock out at this point, and there is still another Nightshade loaded.
Exactly right, Galarian Corsola. Oh, actually the switch. Zzweilous reaches for the Diggersby, trying to nullify this damage from P4T0M4N. Should he have thrown the Power Gem? Should he have swapped? I don't think his Switch Timer was ready.
He had to do something at point because, as you can see, his Switch Timer is ready now, and he wants to swap back out into the Azumarill. He's so close to an Ice Beam, but a Scorching Sands is almost loaded as well. Throwing this before a Scorching Sands Sands is really great for P4T0M because if the Scorching Sands got an attack debuff, this wouldn't have done as much damage.
Yeah, it's absolutely key to land that hard-hitting, super effective charge attack as soon as possible in the Diggersby matchup. Gonna see the Scorching Sands coming through here from Zzweilous. He has leaned on this Diggersby all tournament long, and it's gonna try to pull through for him here.
Super effective bubbles are doing it, but it's not doing it quick enough. These quick attacks are gonna be able to throw right in time. Wonderful wherewithal from Zzweilous, throwing right before that charge attack was available. I think he was hoping he was able to farm down. Not being able to do this fire punch is definitely enough.
KO onto the Pokemon. Only 2 weakened Pokemon are left for P4T0M. That's Shadow, Drapion, and Galarian Corsola. He doesn't have many options, but he's got to choose. Comes in with a Drapion, it's got energy. Here comes Zzweilous with the swap.
Once again, catching an Aqua Tail onto this Azumarill, and once again, we're seeing P4T0M actually undercharges. He wants to be able to get a little bit of farm, but actually just swapping into the Galarian Corsola, hoping that he can tank this better, hoping that he can get up to an attack, and guess what? Luck is on his side, able to get there, going to throw an attack at whatever comes back in.
It's astonishing he's able to get the farm down, but here comes P4T0M with the Power Gem right into this Diggersby. This might actually be enough.
It wasn't enough earlier on, and missing a couple of bubbles here, not very effective, and it hangs on. This is actually great
Wow.
for P4T0M here. They threw at the same time. The Fire Punch is going to be able to connect that Drapion. He's going to be able to get to another attack. He's at an Aqua Tail here. He's going to be able to throw it at the Primate.
Send P4T0M your energy. His Shadow Drapion is able to keep him in this series. This is a game victory for P4T0M on the left side of your screen with some of the best energy management I've ever seen and only 10 seconds to spare.
Drapion saying, you get an Aqua Tail, and you get an Aqua Tail, and one more Aqua Tail to boot to give me game number 1 in this grand finals.
I see you in the crowd. I see you, Pokemon trainers out there, putting your hands on your face, hiding, not even looking away, but you have to see the greatness that is deploying on screen. P4T0M on the left side, getting that game 1 victory, proving that he's still got plenty of fight here in London.
Zzweilous did everything he could in that matchup. He caught 2 separate Aqua Tails onto the Azumarill. That does barely any damage at all. He even got that Diggersby on the Corsola, but P4T0M says, no, I know what I'm doing this round. That Power Gem was barely not enough. That Undercharge this time was perfect, and that game number 1 was his.
As that logo entails, international champion. That is what is on the line here in our grand finals reset. A maximum of 4 games left to go, but P4T0M could end it all with 2 more wins.
2 more wins, and he gets that trophy that's in the center of the stage here. This is what all of the trainers are playing for. This is the thing. This is the glory. This is the title of European International Champion.
For all the marbles, as they say, our trainers getting locked in. One of them is already eager to start this game number 2. The other one taking just a few more moments to get their choices right. Visualizing win conditions, thinking about leads, thinking about positive scenarios and negative ones, trying to figure out how you can get into the mind of the person across the table from you and take victory from them.
The top 4 trainers of this event already have their qualifications for Worlds, but these 2 trainers are saying that is not enough. I want the title for my name, I want that prestige, and I am just a couple of plays away.
Here we go, ground types on the field. Game number 2, P4T0M leads that Shadow Kanto Marowak into the Diggersby. I do think the Diggersby has a slight edge in the even shield situations, but let's see how this plays out.
If you want to talk about Pokemon that want to use up both of their shields, we've got Primeape on Zzweilous' side, and we've got that Marowak on P4T0M's side. P4T0M with that Mudslap damage does a lot to basically any Pokemon. Diggersby just happens to be one of the bulky Pokemon that can take it better than others.
We've seen each of these Pokemon win Championship Series events this season and in past seasons as well. They are both incredibly vital picks for these teams. We're gonna see another Scorching Sands come through though from the Diggersby, and this will actually chip down the Marowak quite a bit.
Chip it for real because there's no Protect Shields used at that point. Gets an attack fall too. I wonder if that will change the way P4T0M wants to play it out. No, going up to basically 100 energy, throwing this, but since there was an attack debuff, it might not even be enough to knock out the Diggersby.
Back-to-back Bone Clubs on the Shadow Kanto Marowak, and looking for the swap now. P4T0M wants to go for that Shadow Drapion, and he does, right into the Azumarill.
Going in for it now. The Poison Sting damage, this fast attack damage is the thing that's really putting pressure onto the Azumarill. Neither the Crunch nor the Aqua Tail do that much. The Crunch does have a chance to debuff. That's exactly what P4T0M's going for. He's praying that he gets this here. no shield from the Azumarill.
Beautiful timing. I mean, mechanically flawless play by both of these trainers. Poison Sting does come through. Zzweilous opting for the play rough and a wise Protect Shield from P4T0M4N to not take that damage from the Azumarill in this mid game. Switch timer is up for Zzweilous. He can reach for the Primate. But with all this energy on the Shadow Drapion, he would be insane to do that.
Going straight for another crunch. It still is not quite enough to knock out, but the timers are a little bit misaligned at this point. He could be able to swap, or if Zzweilous wants to, he's forced to now throw this other crunch, and there's still no Protect Shield from Zzweilous' side.
This is it, Amanda. All cards on the table. It's Primate or it's nothing for Zzweilous. He's got 2 Protect Shields, the fighting type on the field. Let's see just how much rage it's got.
He's going for Aqua Tail #1, getting shield #1 from Zzweilous' side, still punching away, getting these karate chops, and now we are almost up to a Rage Fist, letting it fly.
Gonna throw the Rage Fist here. Zzweilous, no more swaps, no more reserve Pokemon available. It's all on the shoulders of this Pokemon. Now we see the Rage Fist connect. Shadow Drapion hangs on. Bone Club. Here comes P4T0M4N trying to apply pressure. He's got to whittle down this Primate, and the Bone Club comes through.
You see Zzweilous not sure if he wants to shield at this point, wondering how much energy there is, but look how much damage that does. Mudslap just getting it nice and low. There's 1 Protect Shield left on Zzweilous' side. God tries to come in with his, at this point, he's just trying to get the health down as low as possible on this Primate.
Wow, hoping for a Shadow Wall Rain in the back. P4T0M4N sends out the Azumarill instead and says, I'm going to take game 2. I'm going up in this series, and I'm not going away.
I think P4T0M4N said, I really liked what you did in the winners finals and the grand finals, going up 2-0. I think I'm going to try it this time.
Yeah, why not? Why not try the shoe on the other foot, as they say? Our trainers are going to take a few moments to get locked in here. This is the most important game of the entire tournament for each of them. There have been thrilling victories, narrow defeats, and some landslides each way on the sides of the stage. But it's up to P4T0M4N to lock in this game #3 and win it all. And Zzweilous has the reverse sweep. He has to pull a P4T0M4N, if I may say, and take this right out from under his feet.
Earlier on in the winners finals, Zzweilous was in this exact position when P4T0M4N was able to kind of pull it out from underneath him. We'll have to see if Zzweilous will be able to do the same, but I completely agree with you here, Will. The determination here, this is the big game. P4T0M4N just needs 1 more win to call himself the champion. Zzweilous, he's been reverse engineering this whole weekend. He's been not dropping any games until today. Will he be able to pick it back up? Will he get that momentum back on his side?
1 more yard, 1 more foot, even 1 more inch. It sounds so simple, but it's anything but. Zzweilous is going to do his very best to fight his way back in this series. He says, I lost to P4T0M4N earlier today. I am not repeating the same mistakes. I want to win this championship and bring it back to Germany.
If we look at what he ran, P4T0M4N, earlier on in the first grand final set, we saw a lot of Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz seemed to be in his team almost every time, perhaps hoping to scare away the Primate. Unfortunately for him, not able to do so, landed on basically any Pokemon but the Primate. Now it seems like he's swapped over to that Kanto Marowak.
Yes,
what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just finding different ways to apply pressure, and I think that the tail of the tape here is also leaving that Mandibuzz on the bench. We have not seen the glaring Corsola at all from Zzweilous as of late, and I don't think he's going to bring it anytime soon. But guess what, Amanda? We are locked in. This could be the game that crowns your EUIC champion, everybody. Let's go.
Let's see what these 2 trainers want to bring into the fray. We're going to get them up and loaded here. We have that Shadow Marowak up against a Primate, and they are beginning to fight.
Absolutely. The signature picks of these 2 trainers are on the field. Primate is taking so much fast attack pressure from the Mud Slaps, just like it did in that game #2. Zzweilous throwing the Rage Fist to try to break up the mud.
Going ahead and just using that first Protect Shield because he's gaining a ton of energy. But guess what? 1-2 punch right away. First Rage Fist gets shielded. Second one actually doesn't, which is normally the reverse since this one will do more damage.
Yeah, a little bit interesting there, but P4T0M4N knows this matchup inside and out. Gonna throw 2 more, 3 more Mud Slaps and get the KO. All that energy down the drain.
A full farm down. Zzweilous comes in with the Azumarill, hoping the bubble damage will do enough to knock out the Marowak before it gets off 2 charge attacks. And it looks like he is able to do so. Now in comes the Drapion to start putting in some work.
Yeah, exactly. Zzweilous makes the swap into that Diggersby, but the Azumarill comes out. I gotta say, this is looking really, really grim for Zzweilous at the mid game. Let's see if he can turn this around.
I've seen Zzweilous lose the lead, lose the swap, and still win games, so I'm not counting anyone out at this point. But this Scorching Sands getting getting the attack ball is exactly what he needs.
Step by step, brick by brick, Scorching Sands debuff by Scorching Sands debuff. He needs to claw his way back into this matchup, and that was the first step to doing just that. Switch timer's almost up for P4T0M4N. I think he's about 10 seconds or so displaced.
Diggersby now coming in with yet another Scorching Sands. He got one debuff, which did help him out before. I think he's hoping for another one at this point, because still no Protect Shield used on P4T0M4N's side. He only has one left. He knows he has a positive matchup against his Diggersby, and next Ice Beam coming through.
Incredible awareness by P4T0M4N. Almost a sixth sense of sorts that he's able to predict when that switch timer is ready, throw the Ice Beam early, and the swap and the combo play. P4T0M4N applying so much pressure.
Going ahead, letting this Aqua Tail go, and getting that last Protect Shield from Zzweilous' side. The switch timers are up now at this point, but the Scorching Sands is coming through. This is the heavy-hitting attack. This would do so much damage to the Drapion, and P4T0M4N uses his last shield as well.
See Zzweilous applying pressure of his own, swaps now into the Azumarill. Another attack drop, which might actually be the saving grace here for the Azumarill.
Going out for that crunch, saying, okay, if you're getting all the attack drops, can I at least get a crunch debuff one time or another? Coming through onto the Azumarill. You see, it doesn't do as much damage, and it's not very effective. See Zzweilous at a Play Rough.
Play Rough, gonna deal some neutral damage here to the Poison and Dark type, but it hits hard. Azumarill looks cute, but it plays rough, taking that Shadow Drapion down into the red. Bubbles are adding up, but it's closing in on a crunch as well.
Going ahead and saving all of that energy, having a crunch stored for whatever comes in the back, but this means another Play Rough is already ready. You see how low of health P4T0M4N's Azumarill is. He's gonna have to take this, but will it be able to hang on? No, it goes down. Drapion comes back in.
That was critical right there. The 1 HP, unable to survive that Azumarill KO from Zzweilous. What is what kept him in this series and in this tournament?
We talked about it before. Zzweilous swaps in his Diggersby. It gets countered by an Azumarill, and everyone thinks, ooh, this looks bleak for him. And now look at this. First point for him in the grand finals. He's looking for a comeback.
Zzweilous, the reverse engineer, not just with team building and meta reading, but also with win conditions. He says, you know what? Maybe I prefer the negative start. Maybe I prefer to lose swap, because I just want to show you how good I am at flipping everything on its head.
That was a very impactful game for this series. If P4T0M4N would have been able to take that, we would have already had a champion. But because Zzweilous took this, there's potential that we can go on even further. Let's look at this. This is Ice Beam is correctly shielded up from Zzweilous before the Scorching Sands. He ended up getting that attack debuff, making him not have to shield the next.
Exactly, the crunch coming through here. We talked a lot about debuffs on both sides, but those can really flip matchups. I think getting an early one with the Diggersby is what kept Zzweilous in this game. Crunch connecting, Azumarill fainting, Play Rough connecting, and that was going to be enough to keep him in the tournament. P4T0M4N shrugging, he says, I don't think I can hang on through this Play Rough, and he was right.
There's a lot going on between the body language of these two trainers. You can tell both of them are tense. Both of them know that there are big stakes on the line. They want to be called, you know what? They're actually already called champions. They want to be called an international champion, and this is a good start for P4T0M4N. Lead a quick swap out into a Primate safe swap here. What are your thoughts on that, Will?
Yeah, instant pivot into the Primate. I guess Zzweilous figures that Mandibuzz is staying home, so the worst they can possibly see would be the Azumarill, but he's going to stay in here. P4T0M4N with the Shadow Kanto Marowak, he saw how much pressure he can apply, and he likes to carry energy, so he's going to throw a Mud Slap and then a Bone Club.
Last time we saw a full Mud Slap down. This time he said, I know I was already in first. I see you coming in. You're going to have to use your shield here, and that's exactly what Zzweilous does. Another Rage Fist now coming through.
Yeah, ramping up this damage, ramping up the attack stat for the fighting type Primate here is going to do a lot, but we saw this in game number 2. This doesn't KO. This Shadow Kanto Marowak can't stay in here. Is it going to repeat? History repeats. P4T0M4N gets the KO again.
It looks like he's going to go for a little bit of a different strategy. He has all this energy, and you see him topping on that Drapion. That means he's going to try to swap immediately. No matter what comes in, it's going to be that Diggersby. A great call from Zzweilous here, because that's a good matchup for the Diggersby.
Amanda, that's an insane call, but he actually pivots back into the Charger Bug, which frees up the Azumarill. P4T0M4N can't believe it. He says, why did you make that switch? Zzweilous has a plan, but is it all going to get foiled in the end?
Crunch now coming through. Look how much that does. It does not get the debuff at this point, but the X-Scissor is loaded. Another Crunch coming through. This will knock out the Charger Bug if Zzweilous chooses to not shield it.
Exactly right. Crunch hits so hard, Drapion builds to it so quickly, and now it's up to Zzweilous and his Diggersby. P4T0M4N thinks he's got it, but let's find out.
Going ahead, going for another Scorching Sands. You see him looking up into the crowd. You see Zzweilous giving a little bit of grin, saying, maybe don't shield?
Yeah, maybe let the Scorching Sands through, Pato. Give me one of those. He says, no way. I'm trying to become an international champion here.
You can see Aquatail going through super effective damage to that Diggersby. Trying to just get up a little bit of energy. But speaking of energy, we've got a full healthy Pokemon in the back line. We've got a charge attack priority tie, and we've already got CZ clapping.
Whoa, I think he's got a sense. He knows what's in the back. Aquatail comes through here. Looks like a charge attack priority ties. Zzweilous throws a Scorching Sands, but P4T0M4N is still hanging on. I don't think he can believe what's about to happen.
Looks like it's going to be able to connect, but at this point it might be too little, too late. Bubble damage coming through, still tapping, some clapping. Let's give it up here.
P4T0M4N is your 2025 EUIC International Champion.
He's already stopped tapping, but he's still got a tap. Look at it go. Give it up for P4T0M4N.
P4T0M4N, what an incredible rise of one of EU's best. He has so much passion, so much love for this game and for this community, and to win an international title, I can't even begin to express what he's feeling right now.